So let me just tick through a couple of things that have happened in lifetime here. So I'll start with the Financial Services Committee, and then I'll go to the floor. First, in the Financial Services Committee, I've laid out over the last year my objectives, and I have 3 objectives for the House Financial Services Committee. One is to update our Gramm-Leach-Bliley standards. That actually, Subcommittee Chair of Energy and Commerce, Mike Oxley, helped write the data privacy piece for financial services. Funny enough, I've been going through the legislative record of that time, including testimony by Alan Greenspan before his subcommittee on energy and commerce. Damnedest thing. But those standards were written in the 90s without contemplating mobile internet. So we have to update those data privacy standards. We reported that bill out with the same 2 challenges that my Democrat colleagues expressed at the beginning. They expressed at the end, but otherwise they liked the bill. So we can go negotiate on that, and Energy and Commerce will have their data privacy package. Those things marry up pretty well, pretty nicely. And if not, we've got our options for taking that across the floor. But we reported that out in the first quarter of the year. And also in the first quarter of the year, the intention was to report out the capital formation package that Chairwoman, what's her name? Missouri Wagner, very quiet. I call her my whispering angel. But Ann Wagner has had 4 subcommittee hearings, hours of testimony, great panels. She's worked with members intently to get out over 30 bills through that process that we've put together in a package. And the package is 14 of the 15 bills we did yesterday. And she built great consensus on 13 bills, and then we have a package of remaining about just shy of 20 bills in the other package. And so kudos to Ann Wagner for her work there. That was my second priority, is capital formation, updating the standards by which public companies operate in the public sphere, that private companies can raise money more efficiently, and investors have more choice and options to invest. And so very proud that we're able to report that out yesterday. And then the third priority is to give regulatory form and legal clarity to digital assets. We have no definition of a digital asset. We have no means of exchange, and nor do we have an on-ramp to the digital world with a federal law, which is a stablecoin regime. I tasked French Hill with the chairmanship of the Digital Assets Subcommittee, not because he wanted it, but because he would be best. And he has shown that he is best, and he's building consensus around serious policy. And we're going to make policy. We're going to make law here. And Jay has been through the ringer with the whole committee staff and coming together with a really smart agenda for the next couple of months for us to work through digital assets. So I hope to get that reported out before it gets too hot here in D.C. So that's the committee agenda, and I'm happy to have 2 of my 3 major priorities reported out as of last night. Then going to the floor, we have serious debates that we have to have around our approach to our economic relationship with China, and there's a big rethink in both parties. Speaker McCarthy and Minority Leader Jeffries worked very well together to establish the China Select Committee. A majority of Democrats voted with all the Republicans to establish the China Select Committee. The members that we have on the China Select Committee are credible in both parties and serious in both parties. You can't say that about all committees, but you can say that about that committee. And I think Mike Gallagher's running a very solid approach there. And he's taking input from committees. But they're empaneled to come up with ideas and approaches, and then those of us that legislate, the legislative committees, will take those ideas and hone them and make them right. But he's working in a very collaborative way on that. And I think that's a serious and major priority. Finally, the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling negotiations sap the energy out of most Congresses, have the potential to. In the mid-'80s, because there were serious economic priorities that had to be addressed and serious budget priorities, they used the debt ceiling to take stock of our fiscal house. And they did it with not that much drama, but some, not that much. But the major spending reforms over the last 40 years have ridden in conjunction with the debt ceiling increase. That was certainly the case in the 80s. That was the case in the 90s, and has definitely been the case for the last 20 years in Congress. And when Democrats were in the majority, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi negotiated with President Trump for higher spending levels. That is taking stock of our fiscal house and their fiscal priorities, and they raised spending in conjunction with the debt ceiling increase. Speaker McCarthy laid out clearly, very early on, that he wanted to take stock of our fiscal house and pare spending and move growth opportunities, growth legislative products in connection with that. This is not, it's not a terms of agreement that the president must sign, but a reasonableness standard that the Speaker has approached this with. And the Speaker met with President Biden on February 1st to engage in a dialogue on raising the debt ceiling. That was the last conversation they had. And he said, show me your offer. Well, he said, show me your budget. Well, the budget doesn't actually get signed by the president. It doesn't have a damn bit to do with the negotiations on the debt ceiling increase. So the Speaker made this decision that we were going to pass a debt ceiling increase, and he made this decision about 5 weeks ago. And he said, we're going to bring a product to the House floor. And so we worked together to produce this package. And all members of Congress had, all Republican members of Congress had input into this package. And it was a quite collaborative process. And on the Speaker's behalf, the chair of the Elected Leadership Committee, Garrett Graves, led those negotiations and discussions with members over the last, well, since January. The culmination of that work was the product that passed the House floor last night. And so within the Speaker's office, Garrett Graves operates to create some legislative form around major initiatives that are conference-wide priorities, like raising the debt ceiling. And on the Speaker's behalf, he worked with a whole group of folks across the conference. Once that form was there, it goes through the whole process, and the rest of the leadership team played key roles in this. In the construct of this bill, the Speaker, the leader, the whip, the conference chair were all at the table with Garrett Graves, who was impaneling the group. So that process worked pretty well here. And so I've got to give kudos to my leadership that they're doing a fantastic job. They're working well together, and that's tough to do. And they're working in a unique circumstance of this Congress. And this Congress is quite different. These House Republicans are quite different than what they were 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And they need to be dealt with in the way appropriate to managing the House floor. And so I think Leader Scalise, Whip Emmer, Conference Chair Stefanik are all working quite well with Elected Leadership Chair Garrett Graves and Speaker McCarthy. I think that's working very nicely and collaboratively. And so I hope that this is the start of negotiations with the president. That is the hope, and that was the goal of passing this legislative product last night. So here we sit. Here we sit at the end of April after kind of a grinding start, first 4 months of Congress. And we've had multiple bills signed into law. Two that the president said that he was going to reject, and Senate Democrats said that they were going to reject, and they passed, and the president signed them. And then we've moved major initiatives out of the House, from Parents' Bill of Rights to raising the debt ceiling to major energy priorities. So this first 4 months, I got to say, that first week of January, if you really think about it, I don't think you would have thought we would be this productive in the first 4 months of this Congress. So that's the general outline, general update. And now that I've fully lost the crowd, we can turn off the camera and we can take Q&A.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much.